Hi everyone, I want to talk about the ick, which is a very annoying topic to talk about, because I'll tell you why it's annoying. But before I go on, please subscribe to the channel if you're interested in taking our coaching services with us and you want to get started on your recovery journey. You can get in touch with us with the details at the end of this video. There's also a link down below in the description that you can click and you can go straight to our WhatsApp chat where you can ask us information, whatever you want to know about our services and how we can help you. So, going into the ick as far as relationship OCD goes, first I want to read about, because I never formally read the definition. I knew where it was, but I also wanted to see where it was, and I came across some really interesting information. So, I have my laptop here with me. Hold on. Okay. So, what does the ick mean? The ick is a term used in dating to refer to a sudden feeling of disgust or repulsion to a dating partner someone was previously attracted to, right? So, having something that makes you just be repulsed by the person that you're with, right? And there are many possible reasons as to how someone can, get the ick as well. And this is like, and it's a bad feeling that you get. You don't want to be, it's like you get or catch the ick when you are disgusted by them for whatever reason, etc., etc. Then it's like, okay, so this is the most, I would say, nonsensical part of it. That's the lightest way I can put it. Where does the ick come from? The term the ick in reference to dating comes from a 1999 episode of the TV show Ally McBeal. In the episode, Ally McBeal refers to not being attracted to someone for unknown reasons as the ick. The term is used repeatedly in the episode to describe Ally's lack of attraction to a coworker. Love Kalista Flockhart, but yeah, I mean, if you are taking your life cues from a TV show, then there's nothing more to say in that. And also, the ick was really used as a slang dating term until the later 2010s when it started to be discussed in articles about dating. The reality show Love Island seems to have helped popularize the term, as several cast members would explain what the term meant during episodes of the show. This is my judgment phase. Like, if you're taking cues about your life, about your relationship from Love Island, if those are the concepts you're applying to your life, then you're in big trouble. But in all seriousness, like, it's obviously each era of history has its own terminologies and norms and language and things that stick around and concepts that people really believe in and they behave according to it. Like 10 years ago, the concept, I mean, the ick as a popular concept or a popular term did not exist at all, right? So there were different norms and different ways of looking at relationships and what's good and what's bad and all those things, right? But to also add some further stuff in here, it's like there are several things that can be considered as the ick. It's also like a cringe feeling that you might get. But then there was these are just some brief things off of my initial Google search, right? So 40 of the biggest icks that get people dumped. And these are like 6, 7 examples. Smelling bad, right? Which is, by the way, if you're in a long-term relationship, it is going to happen at some point or the other. Like, you realistically cannot expect a person to be smelling great at all times. Like, someone might have a fever and they're in bed, and if you're like, oh, you don't smell great, I'm dumping you, then, like, of course, that's super irrational. You're also going to have someone have bad breath if they're trying to kiss you right after dinner or something like that, or right after tea or coffee. Yeah, I mean, of course, it's not going to be that pleasant. But I mean, it's a human body, so it is going to smell bad at some point or the other. Pretending to be more knowledgeable about something than they actually are. Yeah, sometimes people can be a little know-it-all about a subject. If someone asks me about, well, I don't know, I can't really think of a topic where I'm like, oh, I know everything. Maybe OCD. Maybe that's a topic I might be like, hey, I know way more than obviously the average person. Being overbearing and rude sometimes can happen, especially in an argument. Double texting, yeah, of course. I would say that's an inherent part of a relationship. Like it happens quite a lot. Unless the other person is a stalker, then that's something else. Having bad teeth, yeah, I mean, like across, as you age, especially, your teeth are going to move here and there. Um, some people will have overlapping teeth, some people will have stains on their teeth from coffee or cigarettes or like something like that, or from even like an injury. Some people have like a cavity right in their front teeth, and you can see the grayish coloration in their teeth because it's at the back side of the front teeth as well. So sometimes you can really see that. Um, Being rude to a waiter, yeah, have seen a lot of those people. Living in a mess. Who doesn't? At some point or another, like who doesn't really? So these are just some of the icks. Like now, some of the icks according to what website is this? Goss.ie, and it's the yeah. I mean, okay, no, I refuse. I rebuke. I can't. Um, but here's the thing. You have to also understand, first of all, there was a world that existed way before this term existed. And this was, nobody thought of the ick, right? People were obviously disgusted in relationships. Like if someone is picking their nose at a dinner table and then wiping their hand with the tablecloth, of course, that's no one is going to say, "Ooh, you're really sexy." Of course, that's going to be disgusting. If your partner has food poisoning and they have like thrown up over and over again and they really look really bad, you're not going to want to be like, oh, let's, I don't know, make out right after you have, thrown up or something like that. If your partner has like a bad stomach, or they have, how do I put it? They have diarrhea, right? I mean, of course, if you have to go to the bathroom right after them, it's not going to be great. It's not going to be great. It's going to be quite unpleasant, right? Your partner is ill, they're in bed, they haven't been able to get up and even shower for 2 days. Of course, they're going to smell. Um, and they're not going to look pretty. They're not going to look attractive. They're going to have, what do you call them? Dark circles. They're going to look pale. They'll be sweaty. They'll be in their bad PJs. Their hair is going to be all over the place. All those things, right? And first of all, the if you are expecting to never have, and this is what OCD does, because OCD will always make it feel like that this one thing should never ever happen. That even if even if my partner has like food poisoning, diarrhea, whatever it is, I should be feeling like absolute love and attraction and connection towards them at all times. That is really not possible, right? I mean, not that someone can't feel love for the other person, but I mean, it's not alive and kicking. That feeling of connection and love is not alive and kicking at all times. Even if the other person is not sick, it's still impossible for you to be feeling that way all the time, right? So OCD will make it feel like that any single bad feeling, sensation, thought about the other person is a nuclear threat to your connection with them, to your relationship with them, right? Obviously, that's such, I mean, just some of the things that I've read over here. If you're expecting for this to never ever happen in the span of your relationship, then none of your relationships will ever last. If you're someone who wants to be in a long-term relationship, build a family and do all those things, then these are things that you will have to go through in any case, right? But more importantly, first of all, you have to also then look at what are the behaviors that you are doing in order to escape, like, oh, I don't want to get the ick, right? These things can be like rejecting people on dating apps who seem to have, such as, like, you can see somewhat crooked teeth, you're like, yep, nope. Someone who is less than 6 feet tall, nope. Someone who seems to have slightly a receding hairline, nope. Someone who seems to have a little bit of belly fat, nope. Right? So these are things that, I mean, these are the things that you're already like before even something has happened, you're preemptively doing to be like, nope, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. I'll not be attracted to this person. It'll be too difficult, and I won't be able to stand being with that person. I will not stop noticing that feature or that trait or this and that. None of that. Oh, I'm a cat person, he's a dog person, we can't get along. Swipe left. Like you're already putting such a strict criteria on your life, and automatically it's not going to open doors for you. You're limiting the possibilities of potentially getting along with someone, like, and which is okay. And here's the other thing, then people are like, no, but I have my preferences. I mean, it's not like I will date someone who's completely like the opposite side of what I want. Of course, yes. I mean, I'm not saying that if like you to completely give up all your preferences, but you really have to be realistic about it, because OCD will make even the slightest little physical feature or personal trait feel like it's completely despicable, and it's something you need to run away from, even from like 10 miles away. You have to be able to open yourself up to, as with any theme, to experiencing discomfort, to experiencing awkwardness, to also not have like immense or instant all the time love, connection, chemistry all the time. You have to make room for having moments of perhaps awkwardness, or having moments of not feeling in the mood to be physically interactive with each other, not to be intimate. Being in moments where you're not like over having this overpouring of like love and affection for the other person. Maybe you won't be. On some days you just want to hang out as two people and just have regular conversations without feeling lovey-dovey. And that doesn't have to be anything. But with OCD, what you'll do is you'll zoom into each and every single moment and each and every single feeling, analyze it to depth, and try to understand, what does this mean about my relationship? What does this mean? What does that mean? Right? You look at all the examples that I read. If you look at each of them separately, if you're basing your breakup or your urge to break up based off of those singular things, realistically think about it. How irrational is that? How irrational is that? And is that, let's say that's not compulsive, is it a healthy, great way outlook to have with relationships? Because the other person's body is going to change over time. Your body is going to change over time. So then what you're doing is you're making a breakup inevitable if you're keeping that as the standard of what a good, happy, stable, long-term relationship is. More than that, what you really have to also then look at are your underlying fears and your beliefs, right? So what you also don't want is, number one, there's a fear of being in a loveless relationship for the rest of your life. There's a fear of permanently losing connection and attraction towards the other person. There's a fear of being shameful and guilty for being a shallow person, because people who have a fear of getting the ick with their partner, it's also like, I'm such a shallow person, and I'm so like I have such I'm so superficial that I am having breakup urges just because I sensed some bad breaths on my partner this morning. So I don't think I want to be with him for the rest of my life. Right? So it's also how you are rating yourself as a person based off of having maybe some shallow standards. It's also the fear of being in a loveless relationship and a fear of having permanent loss of connection. Right? These are some of the common ones that are behind all of this, right? And it's that, what if I can't have that feeling again? Now, unfortunately, this is the answer you don't want to hear. What you really do have to break down is that, what if you don't get that immediate like love and connection and attraction to that person again? Because, and by the way, with a lot of long-term relationships, that initial honeymoon high phase that you have in the relationship, quintessentially, that in itself is not like recreated in the future. Yes, you obviously have that attraction and all those things again, but they're in a different format. It's not that initial, because initially when you are in a relationship, and if you're having a honeymoon phase, it's also like everything is like rose tinted glasses. You don't see their flaws that much. You like ignore it. In fact, even some of their flaws seem very endearing initially, but then later on it's like, what the hell, you need to change this behavior. So later on, even if you might have that like passion reignited, it won't be obviously in the same form, shape, and form in the relationship. So in any case, like it's very different. But this is the answer that people don't want to hear, is that you will have to accept this worst case scenario, that even if this you weren't able to recapture that initial amazing great moment of the relationship, is it really the absolute worst possible thing on planet Earth that you're in a relationship where you don't have that kind of passion anymore, right? Um, and for me, at least from my end of my, like from my perspective, the reason that it doesn't, I mean, of course nobody wants to be in it, yes, I agree with that, but like if we realistically look at some of those things, it's not like 100% bad either. And the reason it's also very realistic and easy for me to say is that I've seen that in not maybe majority, in majority cases over here in my country, which is not to say that, oh, because it happens in my culture it needs to happen in yours and it's the right way. I'm not even saying that. What I'm only saying is that millions of people have existed in history, not just in my country, by the way, in like worldwide, where people have been in long-term marriages that did not, even in the initial phase, did not have that high lovey-dovey phase either. It's a marriage of convenience, it's a marriage of functionality, which is not to say that it does not have enjoyable moments. Of course, it has enjoyable moments as well, but that also doesn't mean that, like, but most of it is like just this regular life, which does not mean that it's filled with depression. It's just regular life. I have a husband or a wife and I have children with them. We have built a life, we have built a family, and the children then become the main focus as well, that, oh, I've built a family. I love my children. I want to raise them with this person that who I'm not crazy about, but we have a partnership, a living situation that seems to work, and we bring that to the table for our children. I've seen that, like, I can't even count on my fingers the amount I've seen that. And people seem to be like, yeah, this is life. This is how life works. This is how you build your life forward, and this is what happens. And you ask the average person over here, obviously, everybody wants that very lovey dovey kind of relationship, but most people will say that it's not realistic. It's a fantasy romance novel, romance movie kind of thing. It doesn't really happen. So I've seen people live really good, fulfilling lives actually, even if this one part of their life is not what Ally McBeal says it should be, or Love Island, for heaven's sake, that Love Island says it should be. None of that. Um, I also recently watched this Love Is Blind, which, by the way, I absolutely do love watching reality TV shows. I will admit that. But most of the time, you're watching the show, you're like, can someone just like give me, I don't know, can someone just like tranquilize me over here, because I can't, I can't with these like irrational beliefs that like the things that people are saying that they're looking for in relationships is just like, I'm like, what? You're so out of touch with reality. Like, in the latest season, there was this talk about, this one father-in-law saying to his son-in-law that, oh yeah, you have a great relationship with my daughter. You get along really well. You have a deep understanding, but like she sometimes loves to fly first class, and she really loves expensive, luxurious holidays. And I don't know if you'll be able to provide her with that. And I'm like, how is that becoming the defining factor of whether they should be together or not? Like, those are also things that come and go. Those aren't like, luxury in life is not permanent, that comes and goes, but what can stay is at least like some great partnership. So anyway, I was watching that show and I was like, oh god, there's so much amazing material over here to break down for relationship OCD in these videos and in my posts. Like, I can talk about, in each and every episode there were like 10s and 20 things that I could sit down and be like, oh my god, can we please have a discussion, a rational discussion on this, please? But anyway, like, so yeah, I mean, like, you have to be realistic about these things as well. Like, where are you really getting these cues from? Because in your reality, it's like, oh, the ick is something that has existed forever, but actually, it has not existed forever at all. It's a very new concept. History has existed without this concept. So, if you are basing your life decisions on a new fad in a way, I think it is a fad, just my personal opinion. I might be wrong about it. Then again, you're signing yourself up for major trouble. Um, what's more important to look at is what are your fears behind it? What are the compulsions you're doing? Are you reading up on, oh, is like bad breath in the morning an ick? Is my partner making a mess in the room? Is this an ick? And then you're comparing, and then you're following tons of pages with relationship advice. Then you're also checking, is this a red flag or is this an ick? What fits in my relationship? Do I need to then leave? Do I not need to leave? Then you're also asking other people, hey, so my partner, he is someone who just is has not been great with his finances. In the past, do you think that's an ick or do you think that's a red flag? Should I leave him? Like, I mean, a lot of these things are also like these are habits that change and evolve over time. Like, you're also treating these things as a permanent like fixture in life. And of course, OCD will make it feel like, oh, what if it is the permanent fixture? But like a lot of these things are workable as well. Even if someone has bad breath, people do have problems with acid reflux. A lot of people watching this video either have bad breath themselves because of acid reflux and other stomach problems, or they have their partner who has it, right? We've seen that. You also have either like a sibling or family member, someone who does have that. And yes, it is off putting. I'm not saying you have to be excited about it, but these are also things that as you work on those problems, as you get treatment for those problems as well, a lot of these things like go away. A lot of these problems are like pretty fixable. Someone is like creates a mess, they can change their habits in the future. And even if they don't, like in relationships there are some dynamics that are pretty like set as well. One person is more organized and cleaner than the other one. Why does it have to be that you have to be on the same page about everything? That's another thing with relationship OCD. There's this thing of like we have to be on the same page at all times. We have to have similar habits. We have to have similar visions. Otherwise, this won't work out. That kind of thing. So changing those beliefs and looking at those fears, looking at your compulsions, and also just generally reflecting on where are you taking your cues about your life, from social media, from Love Island. Like, no. I mean, I still can't believe that the ick became popularized by Love Island, and now it has become such a thing that people are basing their real life on it. It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable to me. But obviously, I mean, I also get it. OCD is OCD. It will latch onto anything. I mean, right now it seems like, oh, I'm coming from like some moral high ground or whatever. But of course, I've been a victim of irrational thinking myself. I was an irrational thinker. I was basing like I was taking a lot of cues about what to do with anxiety, for example, from a random social media account sometimes. And then I was also like, wait, am I really like someone will have something to say about anxiety and I'll be like, oh, let me just apply this to my life. They must be right about it. They have what? 200K followers? Then they must be right. No, like just because someone has like, has tons of followers does not mean they're saying giving rational advice. So again, I've been there myself, so I know how it goes. I mean, I'm just only trying to add humor into this as well, just to point out the ridiculousness of some of the things that we're trying to apply to our life. And sometimes seeing that can also just like help a little bit as well. But of course, more than that, we really have to look at what our worst case scenario is, what do we need to break down, and seeing that what we're afraid of is absolutely not the end of the world. Sometimes with relationships, I also like to think of it this way. If you and your partner were the last people ever to exist on earth, and you were the ones responsible for then furthering the human race and reproducing, in that moment you won't be thinking about, oh, does this person, do I have the ick with this person? You would have no option at all. In fact, I would, to be very honest, I would imagine that two people, regardless of whether they were two men, two women, or the opposite sex together, if two people were the last people living on planet Earth, I think eventually it's inevitable they would get intimate with each other, regardless of what your sexuality is. That's just my personal opinion. That's just my personal belief, because I would feel like that if you two are the only ones left and you two are the only outlet of talking and bonding and getting to know each other and having any kind of physical touch with each other, like it's it's inevitable that you will probably fall in love with the other person in some ways, I think. Because you will also know that you two are like the only hope for, for whatever is left of society or this earth then. So, think of it that way as well. If you're with your husband or wife and they're the only person left, will you be really thinking about the ick in that moment, or will you be thinking about survival? So, yeah. Just a little not a little video, it's like a half an hour long, but I just want to cover this topic, and I do want to cover this topic more in future videos as well, because I feel like this concept is just eating up a lot of people who have relationship OCD, and it's making them think in such irrational ways. And then people around them, their friends and family, are also feeding the same kind of concepts, and it's just like, no, please, like, step away from this really bad, unhealthy, super irrational narrative, because it's not going to do you any good. So again, something to think about, and let me know what you think. See you later. Bye.